donut.
Long Islanders awoke to a new report on controversial red light cameras.
Purely a revenue-generating device.
Big tickets, big fines.
Red light cameras make some people see red and others see green. Are these camera programs a legit safety solution or simply a cash cow for city budgets? Is Big Brother watching me? I hope so. Hey Craig. He's my big brother. Red light cameras were introduced with the intention of making intersections safer. The logic is that if someone sees a sign that says red light photo enforced and knows they'll be photographed, they'll think twice before speeding through a red light. However, in Florida, drivers caught by red light cameras in 2012 paid more than $100 million in traffic fines. That same year in Washington, D.C., red light cameras brought in nearly $12 million. Many see the cameras as nothing more than a way for cities to make some easy money by slapping fines on drivers. Which leads the public to ask, how are these red light camera programs run? Who's in charge? Whoa! Holy crap! 99.99% of government entities have contracts with private companies. And these organizations install the cameras and usually charge communities a fee for the camera rental each month. At an intersection with the camera, sensors cue the cameras whenever a violation occurs. The camera shoots video of the offender and sends it to analysts at the camera company for a closer inspection. If the analysts think the situation warrants a ticket, they forward the video to local law enforcement agents who review it again. Ultimately, law enforcement officers have the final say about whether or not a driver receives a citation. As a result of this activity, in the fiscal year of 2013, Florida collected about 53% of revenue from red light cameras in 76 jurisdictions across the state, a total of $52 million. That's 3 times the amount the state collected in 2011. Miami, with its 148 red light cameras, pumped more than $6 million into the state's coffers. And take it from me, you don't want to talk to Miami before it's had its coffer. With that kind of serious cash being generated, you might be wondering where all that money ends up. The answer is as varied as the number of times Drake's been emotional.
Like, I'm actually not that guy in real life. I'm very happy.
Luckily, there are some states that limit where any excess revenue generated from the red light program can go. Texas, for example, keeps a close eye on its earnings. Any revenue in excess of what it costs the cities to run the programs goes to trauma care centers that treat car crash victims and local transportation expenses. That makes sense. And with regard to red light camera vendors like American Traffic Solutions, Texas mandates flat fee contracts to avoid encouraging ticket writing. In Pennsylvania, excess money is rerouted back to the state transportation department, which then bundles up the money into competitive traffic safety grants for cities. Nice going, guys. Unfortunately, in Florida, a large percent of its red light camera revenue goes to the city's general funds and to the traffic camera vendors. And if you need direct proof that some red light cameras can be used to game the system, look no further than an investigation in 2013 by a Tampa TV station.
Florida had a rule that said the length of a yellow light should either be based on the speed limit or how fast drivers were actually going in that area, whichever was greater. But 10 News found out that the Florida Department of Transportation erased those 3 little words in 2011. That meant shorter yellow lights and more tickets for you.
I knew it. Hey, if you're liking this episode of Wheelhouse, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the story. Money isn't the only issue involved with red light cameras. A deeper issue goes into preservation of constitutional rights. Are red light cameras infringing on individual freedoms? A Texas representative leading the charge for doing away with red light cameras argues about privacy concerns with the cameras, and that the Constitution tells us that we have a right to face our accuser in court. How can you face your accuser if it's a machine? In Tacoma, Washington, a driver received a ticket accusing him of running a red light, courtesy of the Australian camera vendor Redflex. Redflex, Mike. Redflex. The Tacoma resident wanted to face his accuser, but was informed it would cost him $670 in travel expenses to bring in a Redflex employee from out of state. When it went to trial, the judge involved in the case pointed out the Sixth Amendment right to face one's accuser and dismissed the charges. Drivers won, camera vendors zip. In Florida, a guy tried to sue the small coastal town of Aventura, claiming the city ceded too much authority by allowing its red light camera vendor to review footage of possible violation. The driver totally admitted to making an illegal right turn on red, but argued that allowing the camera vendor, American Traffic Solutions, to initially review footage before sending it to police created an unconstitutional filter that granted too much enforcement power to a third party. The case went all the way to the state Supreme Court, and the judges determined that private vendors can review footage so long as the decision to cite drivers remains with the city. We were so close. In another case that occurred in the small township of New Miami, Ohio, side note, if you ever visit New Miami, the bus tickets there might be cheaper, but you're not gonna fool your girlfriend. Nobody's wearing big white shirts. Chelsea, please call me. I've never had a crush on a girl named Chelsea.
Isn't that your mom's name?
A family received 5 $95 speeding tickets in one day. Apparently, the family got lost and passed the same traffic camera several times. The case ended with a judge ruling that New Miami was violating drivers' Ohio and U.S. constitutional rights because cameras eliminate the possibility of due process, a requirement under the Fifth Amendment Bill of Rights. The judgment went on to explain that ticketed drivers would not be able to fairly defend themselves based on evidence, testimony, and question of witnesses because the city's witness would read a report written by the company that owns the traffic cameras, which has a financial stake in the process and outcome. In 2011, Los Angeles County stopped notifying the Department of Motor Vehicles when drivers failed to respond to red light camera tickets. The Los Angeles County Superior Court decided it can't be proven that a driver promised to appear for a red light camera ticket because they're sent by mail and not issued on the side of the road by a police officer. There's no way of knowing if the ticket was ever received. In addition, the driver didn't sign a ticket like he or she would in a situation involving a police officer. So go ahead and just ignore those tickets. So if red light cameras are just lining pockets and borderline unconstitutional, why the heck do we even deal with them? For all the grumblings by a significant portion of the public, there's research that shows red light cameras may reduce fatalities. An investigation by the IIHS revealed more than 800 people died in U.S. crashes involving running red lights in 2016. This represents an increase of 17% since 2012. This hike came as fewer U.S. communities are using red light cameras. Causation or just correlation? You see, many red light running accidents can result in what's called T-bone crashes. T-bone crashes get their names because they're rare and sometimes bloody. Because it's a side impact crash, T-bone crashes are most likely to result in death or serious injury. The latest study done by the IIHS indicates getting rid of red light cameras could be deadly. Traffic deaths from red light running crashes increased by nearly a third after cities turn off the cameras designed to catch drivers in the act. In the IIHS study, researchers compared trends in annual crash rates in cities that had ended their camera programs with those in cities in the same regions that continued with theirs. What they found was that red light running crashes went up 30% in cities where they got rid of cameras. In addition, all kinds of crashes at intersections with traffic signals went up 16%, suggesting that red light cameras deter other behaviors by drivers in addition to running red lights. So, they work! Not so fast. Other studies have indicated that red light cameras increase the likelihood of rear-end crashes. However, it's important to note that rear-end crashes are more likely to be minor, with far fewer fatalities and injuries than T-bone crashes, but far less tasty. Last year, Dayton, Ohio rebooted its traffic camera program after a 2-year hiatus. During that time, without a camera system in place between 2014 and 2016, Dayton saw a 40% increase in property and injury crashes. With the new program installed, city officials and law enforcement expect to see that percent go the opposite direction. Russ Rader, who works for IIHS, gives a thumbs up to red light cameras. He believes there's no doubt that lives will be lost in communities that remove their camera systems. One of the problems he's observed is certain cities' attitude towards the red light cameras. Many cities implement red light cameras and see dollar signs in their eyes, when the system should be viewed as strictly a safety measure. Opponents of the red light cameras have proposed longer yellow lights. Longer yellow lights would give drivers more time to slow down, and according to researchers at Virginia Tech, increasing the length of a yellow light by even half a second can dramatically decrease the number of crashes at an intersection. Taking its cues from the study, the Florida Department of Transportation opted to lengthen yellow lights at all red light camera intersections. The department says this move will promote safety and squash any lingering suspicions Floridians have that the Sunshine State cities have shortened yellow light times to boost ticket revenue, like it had in the past. 4 national safety organizations have been created, and last month they released a red light camera checklist for local policymakers, law enforcement agencies, and transportation officials. The checklist offers guidelines and instructions for planning, implementing, and evaluating red light camera programs, including ways to help communities build and maintain public support. The recipe for a successful red light camera program is to place the cameras at dangerous intersections and then monitor safety data to make sure an improvement occurs. The city should also post signs alerting drivers to where red light cameras are in operation. This shouldn't be a gotcha situation for the driver. The main aim of the program should be not to ticket the motorist, but to get them to stop at the red light. Money collected through the red light camera program should be used exclusively for traffic safety programs. It's a sure bet more people are alive today as a direct result of these devices. We look at the issues that affect you in the car world every week here on Wheelhouse. Follow Donut on Instagram at Donut Media. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes. Be nice. Don't embezzle money. See you next time.